to the France Travel Couple. We are the France Travel Couple. I'm James.
I'm Tracy.
And today we're going to talk to you about Paris, the sights, the culture, the history there that we saw when we were there. Now, just a quick note up front, we were only there for 3 nights. So we didn't see as much as some people who may be there for 7 nights or longer might see. We felt like we got a lot in during that period of time. So, first thing off now, before we get into exactly what we saw, I want to talk about something that you'll see talked about on a lot of sites out there, and that's the Paris Pass or the Museum Pass, which is kind of a cousin of that. The Paris Pass itself is something that's going to get you into a lot of museums, the hop-on, hop-off bus tour, the metro, and a kind of little boat tour down the Seine. And the only thing is you have to use it for consecutive days once it's started. So you can get it for as little as 2 days, which costs today around 109 euros, going up to 155 euros for 5 days. For us, it's not really worth it. It's quite a bit to spend for that. And to actually, we have to use all those services. We like to walk a lot, so, we didn't see ourselves using the metro that much or hop-on, hop-off bus tour. But if you really want to use all of those, then maybe you can squeeze out the value. There's the Museum Pass that goes for as little as 48 euros for 2 days, 74 euros for 6 days right now. There's a chance you can get value out of it if you really love museums still. You'd probably still have to hit a few of the high-priced ones within the time frame that you're using it for. There's a few problems with it. Like, one is it's hard to see that many really good big sites that quickly because you're going to want to spend some time in some of them. Some people will, spend a day in the Louvre and still say they didn't see
a lot more. Yeah.
Beyond that, to be honest, it's not everything included in this pass actually that you'd want. It's for some people to have in the pass. So, for example, going up the Eiffel Tower, which is a must-do for some people, that's not even included. I think that's another 15 euros on top. So, and finally, what you don't need the pass for is to see a bunch of the really great free sites and exhibits that are there. And we'll show you a few of those as we go through that we saw. So we're budget travelers. We kind of like it that way. So that's kind of, you'll see a theme as we go through. But we'll start with talking a bit about the waterways.
Yeah, there's the Canal Saint-Martin, which is one of the first ones we saw when we were in Paris and began to walk down. We were staying in the 11e arrondissement at the 11th quarter, and we're walking down, and that was one of the first ones we came across. Very beautiful, lots of leisure craft, lots of boats, yachts that were either floating down the river or the canal or docked. And then, of course, the closer we got to the center of France, we got to the Seine, the most famous waterway perhaps in France, and just absolutely beautiful. We did a lot of walking along the Seine, which was beautiful. We saw it from different angles. There were some different ponts or bridges along Paris. So one being the Pont Saint-Louis, which was near the Cathedral de Notre.
You can see from here, Grand Cathedral de Notre.
And the Pont Neuf, or the new bridge, new pont.
Now we're on the Pont Neuf here. Very popular, quote, new bridge here overlooking the Seine River.
And we also saw a lot of bateau mouche. I'm not sure why they call them bateau mouche, because I think mouche means fly, but a lot of bateau mouche, which were basically these large boats, tourist boats, where you could see Paris from just a different vantage point. So you'll see a lot of those as well.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things we saw in terms of kind of monuments, and some places we saw that some people would go into, but we saw from the outside. That we still like just to see, just for the sake of seeing, even though we didn't go inside. The Louvre itself is one of them, and again, it's a must-do for some people. It wasn't for us. We still went and saw it. We went to the center of the square there, and saw these sort of pyramid structure they have outside there. Again, it wasn't a must-do to go inside for us. It would have taken a lot of time for us really to go and explore. And in terms of the sites there that we knew that were of note, the Venus de Milo and Mona Lisa, not high on our list personally to see. So, we decided to skip that. Sainte-Chapelle is another one. Some people would want to see it. Not a big deal for us. And Notre Dame Cathedral, we actually spent some time outside of it and saw all angles of it. It's really cool to see actually the exterior of it. I highly recommend that. It doesn't cost anything to do that, but to get in there was a long lineup.
Huge line.
And it's going to cost you as well to get in there. We saw a number of churches in other countries, and there's free churches actually you can see in Italy.
And we heard also from friends that the inside wasn't nearly as beautiful as the outside.
That's true.
So for us, it wasn't a must-do.
Yeah. There is really detailed architecture on the outside you can see, including some of the gargoyles that watch over it there. And we saw a statue of Pope John Paul II nearby there as well. So.
My favorite pope.
So another place, Place de Bastille. Actually, what you'll see right now is called the July column. So, and it's funny, we didn't expect it, but it had a lot of advertising around the base of it. But of course, the Bastille is that but a medieval fortress and prison where that once stood there. That was once seen as kind of a stronghold of centralized power in France.
Eiffel Tower.
The Eiffel Tower, yes.
Must do. For us, we didn't. You can't pay to get up the Eiffel Tower. If you want to walk up the stairs, there are different levels that you can go up to. There's also a restaurant, which we were told is very expensive, I imagine. But we chose to basically picnic outside of the Eiffel Tower. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous day, and just to picnic at the base of the Eiffel Tower. We ate. I did some yoga. James took some video and photographs, and for us, that was.
Yep.
That was just enough. We didn't feel like we needed. Yeah. It was pretty surreal. It's pretty surreal, right?
Yeah, it's a must do. It's something you got to see. I mean, it was left there after the World's Fair when it was put up, hosted there, and for good reason because it's a cool sight to see. And don't be alarmed though if you see some military patrol in the area now. They do that around a lot of the major sites because of some of the incidents that have been happening over there in the past few years. So.
We saw them at the Notre Dame Cathedral as well.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Champs-Élysées.
Yes.
And Arc de Triomphe. It's a very famous shopping district, so lots and lots of people, but very high-end boutiques and stores and flagship stores, so like Louis Vuitton, and very expensive restaurants. But it was fun to go see and take pictures and go see the Arc de Triomphe, and you got some great video from there.
Yeah.
I remember that day being really, really hot.
It was, and it's busy there, so it's crowded, so that kind of amps it up even more.
And that was the end of March, so.
Yeah, so if you're going in the middle of summer, it's probably going to be a bit of a hike for you there. A little south of the core tourist area is a really great open public space that's totally free to visit as well, the Luxembourg Public Garden. So it's just a kind of a nice kind of mixed use area. It's just some greenery. There's
some fountains, some flowers.
Some people sitting, some chairs. You have a lot of people just kind of sitting, relaxing, people watching. There's kids playing around there. There's some courts, actually, I think some tennis courts and whatnot. So it's just it's a rather big space, actually, for Paris to be
Which we noticed a lot in France. There were a lot of green areas, a lot of public spaces where people just would go and read on their lunchtime or have a picnic or hang out with their kids or just enjoy time together. Yeah, it was very distinctive, something that we hadn't seen probably in our travels before. Yeah.
We passed by the Sorbonne. We didn't go in, but we passed by it. We got a picture there. And we also went through actually a street that's worth seeing. It's, I believe, one of the most photographed in the world. And it's Rue de Crimea. And Rue de Crimea, you might recognize from photos yourself. It's got this sort of alternating colored pastel buildings in it there. It's pretty much a walking street, but you can probably squeak a small car down there. And it's just really picturesque, really cool. It's kind of between the Bastille, I think, and the core. So not far. I was on our way down from Père Lachaise where we were staying. And while we were there was actually a fashion shoot going on at the time. So you could see that the value of that location is really held by photographers as well. So.
It's beautiful.
All right. let's go and talk about some stuff that we saw,
Mhm.
went into and saw a bit more in depth, starting with the Museum of Modern Art.
Yeah, so this was a free museum, and we kind of stumbled upon that one, if I recall correctly.
Mhm.
And we were out walking that day. During our visit, there were some renovations, so we weren't able to see everything, but there were some great pieces that we did see. One being this great big, almost the length of an entire room. It encapsulated an entire room,
Mhm.
probably 20-foot ceilings, this giant painting, which was the history of electricity, beginning at the start on the left and then went all the way around to the end on the right. So when you walked in the room, basically you felt like you're in the painting, which was pretty cool. And then after that, we were able to see the Matisse room, where there
Mhm.
were two versions of his painting La Danse. It was basically a painting that was commissioned. I can't remember by who exactly, but Matisse started it. He didn't like the way it was going, so he started a new one. But they're pretty large and amazing as well, just of ladies kind of dancing. Amazing, amazing pieces of work.
Mhm. Yeah. And that museum, it's actually located not far from the Eiffel Tower. So if you're visiting
Mhm.
there, it's worth a stop, either before or after that. Another site that we saw, also free, near to the Cathedral Notre Dame, was
Mhm.
the Deportation Memorial, Deportation Martyrs Memorial. And it's a memorial to those who were deported during the Second World War to camps in Germany. It was,
And I believe it's fairly new.
yeah, I think it's newer. You could tell the
Mhm.
structure of it. It was worthwhile for us to see, because
Mhm.
part of our trip actually was kind of World War II centered in terms of the history we were looking for.
Mhm.
Now, it's part of an ugly history, obviously, this, and so it's a bit heavy, so just a warning for some. But inside, you'll see, once you enter, inside there's a quote right above the door. It says, "Pardon, n'oublie pas," forgive, do not forget. So it's a good kind of reminder of provides a setup of the memorial itself. The kind of material, so you'll see some written material on the walls there, describing a lot of detail about the deportation. And it talks about the kinds of people that were deported, more than you may think: Jews, um, Jehovah's Witnesses, homosexuals, political prisoners, other types too. Each identified separately before they were deported, with a different colored triangle that was put on their uniform they were given. So they show some roots there about how the deportation ships went. So there's quite a bit of detail there, actually. It's worth checking out. A little heavy, but again, it's free and close to the Cathedral Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably our favorite, definitely my favorite part of Paris was the Orsay Museum, which was beautiful in and of itself. And we heard from our friends that it was a must-do in Paris, and it definitely was for us. And we're not huge museum people or art people, but it was absolutely amazing. The museum itself is this old train building, so train station. So when you walk in, like, it's pretty grand and amazing, and just the lights and the architecture is
Got
just
the big
beautiful.
clock there. You can see
Yeah,
that.
and it's you walk in and it's well laid out. You walk in and there's a grand hall, and then rooms off to the sides to see different artists. So we were able to take in a lot of wonderful artists like Manet, Monet, Degas, Gauguin, Rodin, Cabanel and his Naissance de Venus. And of course, my favorite was Vincent van Gogh, and in particular, his painting La Chambre de Donna, I think it was. Yeah, it was beautiful. So that was my favorite.
Yeah, there's some really cool things there. I mean, if you like impressionist artwork, it's a can't miss. And a little tip for those budget conscious as well. On Thursday specifically, it's open late. It's open till 9:45. If you go after 6 p.m. specifically, you can get in for a cheaper price. You can get in for €9 instead of the normal €12. There's still a lot of time to see everything, really. More than enough time for us there in that evening. So it's Thursdays evenings right now. I think it's been that way for a while. So check their site, though, before you go. And then, like I said, we walked in at basically 6:02 p.m. and we got that price. So it was a great deal. So that ends our tour around the sights and culture of Paris. sure to check out our other videos about the food in Paris,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the way we got around Paris. So, as well as our other videos as we travel through France. Thanks. See you later.
Thanks.